So I don't know if you guys caught it, but remember when Diddy was on the Breakfast Club and he talked about Mace owing him the bread and all that? Remember that? He had a point that I actually agreed with, and it related to the sound of New York and New York music, hip hop. And he said, here's a couple quotes. He said, New York, we're in last place. I'm here to tell y'all, and that ish comes to an end today. And you know it's associated with him in the record.
What's he gonna do?
I knew you was
exactly. I'm like,
we're gonna start doing us. The way you hear the beat in your head, do you. The way you move, do you. The way you dress, do you. Don't be doing them. God bless them. I think
it's too late.
Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Hold on, Lon. Wait a minute. And this is related to the South, I think, because we all know the South is where it's at.
But they've got something to say.
Good job. That was a bar. Y'all caught that?
It really wasn't a bar.
Yeah. It's just.
It was just a really corny dad joke. That's all it was.
Yeah, exactly. That was an awesome hip hop dad joke.
That's all it was.
That's
all I'm full of is dad jokes, man.
Outkast.
I've had like 5 this episode.
Shout out to Outkast. He says a New York cat is not supposed to be following nobody, nowhere for nothing, because we come from a rich culture of artists and designers and creatives. New York was always leaders, and we don't need to blend in. B. We from New York.
It's too late.
He's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to lead the way. I'm doing me. New York unapologetically.
Diddy has already had his stamp on hip hop. I give him that. But unless he's out there actually doing the groundwork and finding these people that are so called going to carry the flag for New York, it's a wrap for that, man.
I think
it's still in the South, really.
But I think he's
just moved to Memphis.
But I think he's right when he says New York has become a bunch of followers. I agree with that.
I mean, that's the whole country, man.
I agree with
when
you.
When you're able to literally pull up anybody at any given time and see what they're on social media.
Yeah.
Everybody pretty much becomes the whole thing. The same thing.
Lone, he's not the person.
I just don't think it matters.
It doesn't.
I just don't. I think it's like a dumb point at this point. Like we're beyond that. Like we've evolved beyond New York mattering versus Atlanta versus LA versus like no.
Does that mean that we've evolved from regional music?
No, there's still going to be regional music.
There's always going to be regional music.
But the New York sound just ain't it right now.
And
Does New York
it
have
has
a sound?
nothing to do with Puffy. I mean, they on their drill stuff now.
That's his point.
Which they got from Chicago.
But a lot of people picked up a lot of stuff from New York and have carried that torch and evolved it.
Yeah.
So I mean, until their time comes back, I mean, you're just gonna have to ride this out.
Do you guys think it's gonna swing back around?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
it'll evolve to something else.
Look, I'll just be honest. There's always because and a lot
like
of times
90s boom bap. No,
the people who are from New York who make an impact
don't even live in New York anymore.
Yeah, but at the same time, like when Nas comes out and he puts out, King's Disease 1 and 2,
and 3 about to come out.
3 is about to hit. I mean, because he's Nas, you don't think about it that it's New York rap. Or when Jay-Z comes out, you don't think about it as like y'all don't be like, yeah, New York is back. Or when Fab comes out, even maybe Fab, but Cardi B sold all them records. Cardi B been in the club for 5 years straight, but y'all don't consider that New York.
It's just a weird argument.
I'm just saying, like, there was a time when if you went to New York, songs from the Bay, songs from down south, you wouldn't hear them nowhere.
Now
maybe there'd be a DJ who show some love if a song got big enough, if it was on Cash Money or something. New York, Connecticut, New Jersey was like his own super duper local market.
Yeah,
that's what Flex said.
But
Nori
now
was even talking about he was the first one that was working with Southern artists.
But now
Juvenile,
dog, come on. Like if it really was chess, Atlanta, Memphis, they've been called checkmate.
I'm a fan.
To paraphrase our brother Tupac,
I'm a fan of. I think music is at its best. Regions pop out and have signature sounds. Now that might be the
Cali will get the torch back before New York does.
You say why?
Yeah, why?
I think it's dope because you have West Coast. You had. Maybe this is the old folk coming out of me, but I love when West Coast music sounded like that and it didn't sound like Outkast. And E40 them sounded like the Bay. And Memphis and A-Ball and MJG.
But technically, what does J. Cole sound like? He's from North Carolina. He cut his teeth in New York. So what does J. Cole sound like? What does his sound? What what region is that?
He doesn't really sound Southern.
He doesn't. Little Brother didn't either.
I think what I would kind of argue is that I think it sounds better when everybody just sounds who they are and we just ignore all this regional nonsense. And because it doesn't really matter anymore.
Because Drake will sound like whatever region gonna get him back on the radio.
That's true. Like you know,
whatever continent,
whatever Drake sounds like, whatever Cole sounds like, whatever Marlon Craft sounds like, whatever 𝗏2 sounds like,
Kendrick.
Yeah, they all sound like themselves, and I think that this whole idea of regionality, sure, I think there's a place in it, and maybe
because Kendrick sounds like Kendrick. He don't sound like the West Coast to me.
Yeah, he's got influences.
He's got some West Coast bounce on some stuff.
He does.
No, for sure, but not everything.
He's got some Chicago step.
Yeah,
influence on there too.
You know, but he got, but you know, then you got Kodak Black on a song that's probably got the most commercial appeal on his record.
Yeah,
where we have this idea of wanting to put things into categories as human beings, and I think that makes us comfortable because that's what we're used to. If we can stick this into a category, then we can check it off of a list, and then we're like, all right, cool, I can move on to the next thing that I need to check off of the list. But I don't think that music is supposed to be like that. I think that a lot of times the reason why regional music sounded regional is because there were a lot of people from that region that were working together in person, and they rubbed off on each other. And then when those people started expanding and going into different places, then the sounds changed and they merged those two different regions together. You know, if you think about Detroit, sometimes Detroit sounds super similar to a lot of West Coast LA type stuff and Cleveland and stuff like that, because those two areas rubbed off on each other a lot. When you think of like Motown and you think of like
Midwest,
you know, like the funk music, you know, like,
but the funk comes out of Ohio.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. The funk comes from
funk influenced West Coast hip hop.
Exactly.
So like that's technically a Midwest sound that influenced West Coast music.
That they took it to his point and it enhanced it and
and then when you think about the Atlanta sound, like in the early '90s, Babyface is from Indianapolis.
Yeah. Atlanta is a melting pot of people.
LA is from Cincinnati.
Right.
And then you take it forward, Metro Boomin is from St. Louis.
Hey,
Coach K is from Indianapolis.
Midwest.
Come on now.
Midwest influences the world.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
So I guess that's my point of the region. I feel like the regional argument is just kind of, I think it makes sense if that's like all we're operating in, but I don't feel like that's how we're operating anymore. I guess it's all over the place. And so I feel like maybe that's what we want to latch onto sometimes.
I guess my thing is this, and I agree with you. I agree with
DJ Premier is from Texas. You know what I'm saying?
True. I agree with your point, but what I'm saying is when I hear art, the very few times I listen to the radio, right? I don't care where it's from. Everything sounds the same. I don't like that. It sounds like one long song all the way through.
Yeah. But it's pop music.
You're never going out of the demographic. You're an old person now. And I'm not trying to be mean.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
We're old people now. Like, we don't, like, this ain't for us.
Nah, it ain't.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just saying, I don't like, I hate, that's why I don't listen to the radio, because
you're never going to get that New York sound again, man.
But it's not even about, I know sound can evolve. Like, I know there's plenty of artists on the West Coast that have evolved the West Coast sound. That's dope. Even in the Midwest or wherever, the evolution of the sound is cool, but when I turn the radio on, it's like, everything sounds the same.
So are you basing your entire thing off of what the radio is sounding like?
That's part of it, but I'm basing it off what people send me, what I hear, what I look up on Spotify. There's a lot of times when I tap in and listen to other music, everything sounds the same. Like, I tend to hear that more on the artists that are more established. Now, on the underground level, I might hear some anything. It might be, and to me, that's more refreshing, but some of the artists that are top, what you want to call top tier or upper echelon artists, a lot of this stuff just sound the same to me.
So it sounds like you're not talking about regions. You're just talking about popular and underground.
Is it maybe just the popular music part?
That's literally what you just described.
Because to me, we never had this issue when music was people's areas had certain sounds to it.
Look, when I hear the Brat back in the day, you could tell there was a West Coast influence on what Jermaine Dupri was doing when he was putting together the Brat's album.
True, but I also knew she was from Chicago.
And she was from Chicago.
The way she was rapping was
coming
Midwest
out of
Chicago,
Atlanta.
though.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Woward is from
Ohio.
I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I'm just saying I like to hear. I get excited when I hear different things as it relates.
Look, and the thing is, when we a lot of times we talk about this. Look, there are so many in 2022, there's so many children of Dilla out here, and they are from every part of this country.
I agree with that.
And so, like, when I hear certain records, I was like, I can hear Dilla's influence on somebody who's making beats in Oakland. Sure. I hear Dilla's influence on somebody who's making beats in Chicago and St. Louis and Washington, D.C.
That's a testament to him.
The regions have no walls now.
That's the
now
point,
that we're in
though.
the internet era,
I can respect that.
I just don't think, it's different when people are sitting in the, in a basement playing, Sega Genesis, listening to the Beat Miners tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not,
because that's all you had. You played it on repeat.
That's all you had, and it stayed where you were because there was no internet. Now everybody gets the exact same thing at the exact same time. If it's hot, it's hot. We're gonna play it and we're gonna make it hot. And
you curate your own lists.
You don't, we don't have to be. And the thing is, it's just not the tribalism that it used to be. There's always been regional biases in Black music. Okay, when it was Berry Gordy and what they was doing in Detroit did not compare to what Al Bell was doing in Memphis when it was Stax Records. What they was doing at Sound of Los Angeles Records in LA. There's always been regional differences in Black music, but now those regions really are broken down because we don't have to stay in our bubble anymore because of the internet. There used to be a song would come out in New York and it wouldn't get to St. Louis for 2 months.
Bro, I got cousins right now in the South.
Everybody gets the records at the same time.
I got cousins right now in the South that'll tell me.
Walk.
Here y'all go. I got cousins right now in the South that will tell me I ain't trying to hear all that from J. Cole. Where's J. Cole from?
Fayetteville, right?
Yeah.
Fayetteville.
Depends on where you're from.
Fayetteville.
Could be Fayetteville. Could be Fayetteville. Could be Fayetteville.
We can go. Why did you put that on there?
Because who knows where they're from before.
I think the best point is Lone saying how people used to work together in certain regions, like the collaborative part. Mm-hmm. That's a very good point.
I mean, you got to understand, we're talking about Diddy, who was in New York at a time where it was literally the golden era of hip hop.
Rap.
Everybody that he used was from New York. When it comes to the producers, the arrangers, the rappers, everybody was from New York.
Yeah.
All of that has ceased to exist.
Couldn't send stems back and forth through the internet.
Not fast.
Not at all. Yeah.
Or everybody people were moving to New York to get on. Yeah. So if everybody's in New York, then they have the upper hand.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
There's
anymore.
no such thing as New York having the upper hand. Like in 1995, couldn't been no Glorilla.
Nah, because remember they used to say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now you better be on your content grind.
Man.
Yeah.
Because now if you can make it Memphis or St. Louis or
you can make it on TikTok.
Yeah.
If you can make it on TikTok, you can make it. You can make it anywhere.
Look, I played y'all that little clip of that dude who was rapping, and I can't even. I'll talk about it next week. Who his name is, but like I saw his TikTok explode in the last 4 or 5 days from a video that he posted of a TikTok video that was posted by somebody he probably doesn't even know, and now I know about it. I didn't send it to a bunch of people, and now he has all these followers.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens different. It happens differently